So with all the talk about Mega Evolutions now, thanks to Pokemon ZA and its DLC, I noticed something pretty interesting that I wanted to talk about. So, recently there was a side mission released for Pokemon ZA in which you can get a Mewtwo. And then you can also get a mystery gift in which it contains the Mega Stones for Mega Mewtwo Y and Mega Mewtwo X. Today, we're going to focus on Mega Mewtwo Y because there's something super interesting about it that I hadn't noticed up until now. Mewtwo might be the closest thing to Arceus in Pokemon. In the lore of Pokemon, if the objective was to create a deity by cloning Mew, I think they may have succeeded, because when you look at Mega Mewtwo Y, specifically its head, it has the same head shape as Arceus. Exaggerated, but it is the same. It has the same weird side horns as Arceus, and it has the weird head tail like Arceus does. The only thing that's weird is that Mega Mewtwo Y has a weird ring around its head. However, I think that ring is a incomplete arc, referencing the arc that you find on the waist of Arceus. So I find that very interesting. So Arceus might have been blasphemed by the creation of Mewtwo, because it's weird too that the only other Pokemon that reference Arceus have some relation to Arceus specifically. So Dialga's alternate form looks like Arceus. Palkia's alternate form looks like Arceus. Giratina has the same head shape as Arceus. And then, of course, Type Null and Silvally were made in the image of Arceus. Mewtwo, however, was not. So it's weird that once he achieves his Mega form, specifically the Y variant, that he does share something in common with Arceus, despite not having anything initially in common with the deity itself. So I find that super fascinating. And I wonder, were there any lore implications waiting to be set up for this in the future, in future games? Because this is quite fascinating. What does this mean? Furthermore, based on the nature of what Mewtwo is in being a created being, it's weird that it even gets access to Megastones. Who created the Megastones for Mewtwo to use? Did Xerneas and Yveltal see Mewtwo as a proper living creature worthy of having the gift of Mega Evolving? And if so, why is it that the one inspired by Yveltal, presumably, makes Mewtwo look like Arceus? It's so strange in that way when you really start to think about it and break it down. What does this all mean? But it may not mean anything, and this could just be a cool gameplay reference. But I find that so oddly specific that its head looks exactly like Arceus's head. But oddly, and this is a bit of a sidebar, but unlike other Pokemon who are trying to copy the image of Arceus, Mewtwo, like Arceus, has always been depicted with subjects, ruling over them like a benevolent king, at least in the anime, because in the anime, specifically Pokemon the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, he is a kind of king amongst the clone Pokemon. This is then further reinstated in the sequel to the first movie called Pokemon Mewtwo Returns. However, when you're talking about the games, I believe the subjects of Mewtwo in the games are Ditto, because it's quite odd, for starters, that Ditto have a lot in common with Mew. They're around the same height, they weigh the same, and have the same shiny form. But what's also quite interesting is that all locations in the games that specifically have something to do with Mewtwo always have Ditto around. The Cinnabar Mansion has Ditto in it. The Cerulean Cave, of which you fight Mewtwo in the first generation games, has Ditto in it. And then in Generation 6, the Pokemon Village, which has a cave in which you fight Mewtwo, has Ditto around in the field. So I find that quite fascinating. This then spills over into the big screen when you're talking about Pokemon Detective Pikachu, because Mewtwo is a sort of king ruling over normal Pokemon in the movie. However, when it is possessed by the main antagonists, its cohort is a Ditto that transforms into a person, which is oddly prophetic, seeing as how we have a game coming out soon starring a Ditto who transforms into a person. But with that being said, stay rosy.